Larry Steinhouse, and this is the Larry Steinhouse Show. I'm so excited. I've got some really cool guests today, and this is another cool guest that I'm really enjoying hanging out with him. I met Brett at an event. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Brett in a minute. I met Brett at an event in California a couple of months back, and he wowed me with something that he's working on, and I'm going to tell you more about that in just a minute. But let me tell you about Brent and what he does. So Brent used to be a chiropractor, which is kind of cool, and he was a chiropractic coach for about 14 years. In actually what seems like a previous life to him at this point, he implemented a money multiplier, and he was able to pay off $984,711 in third-party debts in 39 months. Now, that's pretty impressive because you know how I am, all about paying off money and making sure that everything's cool. So Brett became so passionate about how powerful the concept was, he began to share it with others. For the last 5 years, Brent has been lecturing thousands of people around the country on the dynamics of the money multiplier method and helping people to break the bonds of financial slavery and taking control of their own financial life. Brent has a passionate belief that that whether you make $10 an hour or $10,000 an hour, Brent, I only make $11,000 an hour. You should know that you have powerful information and you should keep control of your own money. All right, so let's talk about what this is all about. So this is Brent Kesler. Brent, first of all, tell me, what the heck do you mean by money multiplier?
Yeah, great, Larry. Thanks for having me. Great to be here. Thanks for inviting me, a guy from Orlando, Florida, actually Port Orange, Florida, up to Pennsylvania in January. I appreciate that. No,
I didn't realize how much of a problem that was for you. But you do understand that now you need to invite me to Florida in January, just to extend the invitation. And I don't even need to be on your show. I just need to be in your pool.
Absolutely. So this concept, actually, it was driven by a guy named R. Nelson Nash, and he wrote a book called Becoming Your Own Banker. And anyway, back in 2006, I was first exposed to this concept, and I was at a chiropractic conference, actually. And so I heard somebody speak on this concept, and I watched the presentation, the material, and I was like, man, that looks really good. I mean, it just seems really, really good. And however, it looks so good that it just looked too good to be true.
Of course, everything that's too good that looks too good is too good to be true.
So anyway, I left that conference in 2006, and I had just gone back and I did my own chiropractic life and all of that. And then I go back about 2 years later to another chiropractic conference. And about 10 or 12 of my colleagues were there at the one that was there, and they were also at the previous one. And about 10 or 12 of these guys, they came up to me and they were talking about how they were building their wealth, paying off their debt, recapturing, recycling all of their dollars.
Recycling dollars. I love that
Recycling
statement.
dollars.
Okay, sure.
They were keeping control of their money. And so anyway, I thought to myself, there had to be something to this. There's no way that 10 or 12 of my closest colleagues could be lying to me, right? I mean, maybe a couple of them were lying, but not 10 or 12. So I went home and I told my wife, I said, look, honey, we got to implement this system in our life. Now, at that time, and it was back February of 2008. So my wife and I, we were $984,711 in debt.
I like the way you know the number. That's awesome.
And so the reason I know it is because I had to compute it. I had to know exactly where I was at that point in time. And so this concept, this process that I now teach around the country, I was able to put that in place, and I was able to pay off that debt, almost $1 million of debt in 39 months. I never had to work any harder. I didn't have to change my cash flow. I didn't take any additional risk or lose control. All I did is added one step in everything I was doing in just my financial life.
Okay. All right. So this sounds too good to be true. So how do I believe you?
Well, I mean, it's right. I mean, again, how do you?
That was your statement, right?
Right.
So it sounds too good to be true, right?
Exactly. And I mean, it is a time-tested, proven method
Sure.
that's been around for over 200 years. So these are the tools that the wealthy use. The super wealthy use these tools that have been around for 200 years. The Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Morgan Stanleys, Barclays. If you go back and look in history and see how Walt Disney funded his projects, or Ray Kroc with McDonald's, or Pampered Chef before Warren Buffett bought it, JCPenney, Woolworth, etc. You know, our tax code's only been here since 1913.
Wow.
So there's so much that we can do with this concept that we cannot do with any other, like just with any other vehicle on the planet.
All right. So I know what it is, and I don't know if you're ready to reveal it yet, but why don't you tell us a little bit like what this vehicle is, how it works, and how they could pay off over $900,000 worth of debt in 3 years?
Sure. Well, okay, the product, in order to just to build our wealth, the product that we're going to use is we're going to use a whole life insurance.
Okay, wait a minute. Stop. You're going to use a whole life insurance policy.
A whole life insurance policy.
But everyone says buy term and invest the difference.
Well, yes, they do, Dave Ramsey.
It's not just. First of all, okay, you need to understand I'm teasing you because I never believed that. I never understood that. It never made any sense to me. To a point, there are certain points that does make sense. But the only reason I said that is because the first thing that someone can, oh no, he's going to try to sell us whole life insurance. Right. He's one of those guys. So that's why I stopped you at the moment. But I want you guys to understand that what he's about to teach. And I don't even know if the guy who invented it, I don't know when created this concept. When I was, I think I was 22, 23, 24, I was selling life insurance. I was selling whole life insurance. Yeah. And I looked at what you teach, and I looked at this and I said, this is really cool. Yeah. I said, I asked specific questions. I'm going to ask you what they are a little while ago, but I asked specific questions to the branch manager, and every time he answered the question, it was like, why aren't people doing this? So I'm gonna let you go on, but I just wanted to bring it up because I want people right there, the people who object to even listening further, listen, because this is powerful stuff. Go ahead.
Absolutely, and yes, so the vehicle that we're going to use to build our wealth is that whole life policy in a mutual company that pays dividends. Now, again, I speak all around the country on this, and I tell them what the machine is that we're going to use, and I get all these people that are kind of just taking a look at me like, they got their arms crossed, and they're looking at me like, what in the heck does whole life insurance have anything to do with me building my wealth, right? So, and again, that's what I thought. The first time I saw this, I thought, well, what does a whole life policy have anything to do? And why are we using a whole life insurance policy to do this? Well, the number one reason we're doing this, Larry, is because this is what the super wealthy do. The number one purchasers of whole life insurance in the world are conventional banks. Conventional banks own more in whole life insurance than all of their land and their buildings combined. Now, why on earth do banks own so much life insurance? Is it because they're stupid or they know something the rest of us don't know, right?
I'm going to say a combination of both, but in this case, it's probably because they know something we don't know.
Absolutely. And then also banks, if you go look, and again, the thing you can do is you can go do the research. You can go and Google something called BOLI, B-O-L-I, which stands for Bank-Owned Life Insurance. Wow. So that way you can see exactly the portfolio of how much of this product conventional banks own. And since 2013, I believe, or maybe 2011, I don't remember, but banks have more than quadrupled their portfolio of how much life insurance they've actually bought. There's
not
a guy
sold, bought.
Bought.
Right, a guy. Okay.
Bought.
Right.
So there's a guy out there, his name is let's see, his name is Barry Van Dyke, and he wrote this book called The Pirates of Manhattan. And he's got a couple different versions. He's got The Pirates of Manhattan, and he's got another book after that. But he goes into the deep details about what banks have actually done and, how they've worked and operated, for just almost 2 centuries.
So the first thing, I mean, it absolutely blows my mind. I saw you, and it was funny because I'm raising my hand, asked you all these questions, like, oh no, he's one of those guys. But you didn't understand that I actually knew the answers
at the time when you were asking.
Of course, I do that all the time.
I didn't know. I never met you before.
I want to know how smart you are.
Yeah.
That's why I do that. When I ask questions like that, when I already know the answers, and I ask questions like I think the question that got you was the modified endowment contract question. And again, I don't want to go with what that is. It's not that important.
Sure.
But you were right away going, oh no, what am I going to do with this guy? But the funny part was, before he even walked in the door, I knew the exact concept he was talking about, and I knew it absolutely worked.
Yes.
And that's what's really neat too. In fact, unfortunately, my policy doesn't work that way from many, many years ago, and I'm no longer insurable.
Yeah.
So I actually can't get life insurance, but we're going to talk about how to solve that problem at another time.
You can definitely solve that problem. Even though that you are not insurable,
right,
you can still own the product and work with it.
Right, exactly.
Because the key that we're doing here is when most people talk about life insurance, so they want to know how much death benefit they can get for how small or little of a cost.
Right.
This is the opposite.
Right.
What we want to know is how much cash can we put in this vehicle and keep the death benefit low. Because it's not death benefit we're trying to solve here. We're trying to solve the need for cash and finance. Mm-hmm. And as long as I can take care of all just of your needs to finance, you'll have more death benefit than you can ever imagine.
So as I understand it, what we're trying to do is we're trying to use the cash value that builds up in the life insurance. And what we do is we use that cash value and we collateralize that cash value from a loan from the insurance company. Is that correct?
Yes, that's the key word, is a loan.
Right.
Most people think, well, I'm going to withdraw. No. You're going to borrow. You're going to take a loan from the company, because when you take that loan, the dollars that you pull out are not your dollars. What you're doing is simply putting your policy up for collateral and taking a loan from the general fund of the insurance company.
And no one tells you that.
Nobody,
even the insurance company doesn't. I mean, unless you read the fine print and understand it, they don't even tell you that. You think you're borrowing your own money. You're not.
Yes.
You're borrowing money at maybe 5, 6, 7, 8%.
Yes.
And the money you're getting in dividends is typically like what, 3, 4%?
Well, the guaranteed growth on the policy alone is 4%.
Okay.
That's in the contract. Now, on that growth, is it taxable or tax-free, do you think?
It's tax-free.
Tax-free. And guess what our biggest eroder of wealth is?
Right. There you
Taxes.
go. Right. So here's the thing. So it's tax-free. And if you can't take the cash value and close the policy, then you have to pay taxes on your gains.
On your gains. Right.
But if you take it as a loan, you don't. I'm telling you, as a 24-year-old kid, I'm figuring this out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is amazing stuff.
Well, I wish you would have told me when you were 24, because I could have
I
started
wish
this
I would
way
have,
sooner.
I wish I would have not put it aside on my brain somewhere else and said, oh, that's really cool, and left.
Yeah.
I would have done it because it was brilliant, right?
Yeah.
And then I start going in, like, you mean I could put extra money in this policy?
Yes.
You know, they called it a drop-in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wait a minute, what's a drop-in? And like, oh, you mean I could put extra money in this policy too, and I can continue to do that same thing? And then I found out that, not only is it, the typical loan, and what is a typical loan on a policy when you're, I should say on a policy because you're not borrowing it, but an insurance company lends you money. What's the typical percentage rate?
5%.
Okay, so let's say it's 5, let's say even it's 6, if they're guaranteeing you 4%, you're only paying 2%. Is what it's costing you, but it's really costing you a lot less because the policy is continuing to build cash value, and you don't technically have to pay that back. You can pay it back. You don't technically have to. Right?
You never have to pay back your policy loan,
right?
Because as long as you're continuing to put premium into that policy, a loan on the policy, all it is a prepayment of the death benefit.
It's freaking amazing.
That's all we're doing is we're borrowing against a death benefit. Because see, here's how conventional thinking wants you to think. The thing that they want you to do is to take your good dollars today and give them the good dollars today, and they're going to pay you back with weaker dollars in the future, right? And some examples of this are people that are putting money in a 401k, an IRA, a qualified plan, right? So the thing is just that they want your good dollars today, and they want to pay you back with weaker dollars in the future. All we're going to do is change it around. I'm going to use my good dollars today, and I'm going to pay them back with weaker dollars in the future.
That's pretty awesome.
That's it. That's all we're doing.
Right. And nobody gets math. Nobody understands math because math at this level is too complicated. It's not I borrow at 8% or what? I'm sorry, I borrow at 6% and I get 4%. I'm paying 2%. It's not that math.
Not at all.
That's the logical math. But there's so many more pieces of math.
So many more.
Including taxes, including the fact that the policy keeps building. I mean, and it's compound interest, right? So I mean, it's compound dividends.
Yes.
So as you're paying back the loan, if you decide to pay back the loan, each month you're interest payment is lower. The portion of your interest is lower because you're paying principal and interest, correct?
Well, yes, if you pay back the loan,
right?
But see, the amount that you pay back is totally up to you because see, the insurance company is not going to ask you if you take a loan. They're not going to say, so how come you're taking this money? Are you going to pay it back?
Right.
What's your payment schedule? Because remember, you're the policy owner in this mutual company. The insurance company isn't going to ask you anything about taking the loan. And the thing I like to say is if you go to a bank to get a loan, it's like going and having a proctology exam. I mean, it's
proctology
difficult.
exam is easier.
Yeah.
It's over in one day.
Right.
Bank loans, 3 weeks later, I still need this piece of paper that I forgot to ask you for, and the underwriter needs it today. I'm like, really?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So just with an insurance company, totally different.
Right.
Totally different. Because you're the policy owner.
And you have it written in the policy that says you can take this at any time.
Yes.
But again, if you pay back that loan, if you're making payments on the loan, each payment has a portion of principal and a portion of interest. Meanwhile, your policy is building up compound, in this case they call it dividends, but let's call it compound interest just for the lack of complexity. You're building up on more and more money, and you're paying back on less and less money. Now, if, I don't know if I explained it well enough for the audience to understand that, but they more than cancel each other out.
Yes, absolutely. And then, so when you came to my event that you saw, I mean, right? So one of the first things just that I proved to you is that you can borrow at a higher interest rate than the interest you're earning and make money all day long. And the example that I showed you was how you can borrow at 6 and earn 4 and make money all day long. Now, how come I show you 6 and 4? Is because inside of the policy, the guaranteed growth rate is 4%. That's the lowest it's going to be.
That's the lowest, right.
That's without dividends.
Right.
If the company pays dividends, which all the companies I work with have been paying dividends for over 100 consecutive years, if the insurance company pays dividends, it's going to be higher than 4%. And the highest interest rate the insurance company will charge you to take a loan is 6%.
Well, so I have one of our students, and I'm actually going to have you tonight. By the way, just so you guys know, Brent's going to be here tonight. He's going to be presenting tonight at Investor Schooling. I told you we had 2 special guests. One is Brent, one is Ryan Barone from Rent Ready. But Brent's going to be talking about this exact concept. You've got illustrations and drawings and all kinds of cool stuff that you're going to go through with people to show them how this works. And if you come tonight at investorschooling.com, you can just go to investorschooling.com, log in. If you've been here before or not been here before, it doesn't matter. It's a free class for everyone to show up tonight and take a look at this because I think this is so worthy of being here. But I do have, what I was saying is I do have one student who borrowed money from his life insurance policy. Now, he borrowed it for some strange reason. Doesn't matter why he borrowed it. Yeah. But he said he was about to pay it back. I said, wait. I said, the guy's coming, Brent's coming. I want you to talk to him before you pay it back because you might be able to make money on that money. I mean, if somebody has, in this case, I don't think it's that much, but let's say somebody has $100,000 in their life insurance policy and they're paying 6% interest, why not lend that money to an investor at 8% interest and make arbitrage like the banks?
I do that all day long. That's what I do. See, the concept that I'm going to teach is a process of what you're going to do with your money. I don't ever tell people how to invest. Some people like investing in real estate, stocks, bonds, gold, silver, antique cars, whatever it is. I personally like doing real estate. For example, like if I make a loan to somebody, let's say that you come to me, Larry, and you want to borrow money for a house. Let's say the house you're going to buy is $100,000. I'll loan you up to $70,000 usually on that house. Now I'm going to be in first position.
Of course.
I'm going to be in first position. And if you don't make your payments, I'm going to foreclose.
Right.
I mean, I have my kids, same thing with their houses. My daughter will be with me tonight, and my daughter on her house.
Will you foreclose on your daughter?
Money. I would foreclose on my daughter.
Oh man, that's
I would do it.
That's why I always tell people
she's got to understand about money.
Be nervous about that kind of stuff.
But yeah, so the thing is that you so like that money that I'm going to loan you, that $70,000, I'm going to be in first position, right? And I'm going to set that up to where you're paying me back on an amortized schedule, whether it's 15, 20, or 30 years, and usually with a 5-year balloon payment, and then we can re-up the loan again.
Right, and you're using your life insurance to get that money,
I do that. I put my money in the policy, then pull it out of the policy to make your loan. Now, So, okay, so let's hypothetically say that I'm going to borrow that money at 5%, and I'm going to loan it to you at 10. I mean, I'll pay 5% all day long.
And not only that, you're not even paying the 5, which is even better,
Right.
because
Exactly.
you're still getting money on the money that you. Look, I'm going to tell you that when you sit and really get this, everyone, when you sit and really get this, you will totally understand why I'm so excited about this, because it really does work. There's no doubt in my mind. It really does work.
It's life-changing financially. I mean, it really is. You know, I've been doing this as a customer since 2008.
Awesome.
I've been doing this as a producer since March of 2012.
Nice.
Right? So the cool thing I love about just the stuff that I do, and I get to travel around the country and do this, and it's all word of mouth and referral. You know, I mean, just like you. The reason I'm sitting here with you today is because you were at an event, a 2 or 3 day event in California last fall, I believe it was, and you heard me speak on this, and you said, "Hey, you want to come to Philly and share this with my people?" Right?
All right. At this point, though, I got to cut you off.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right.
We're
I
out
got
of
more
time.
though. I got more.
No, and so the people should come tonight. They should see them more.
Absolutely.
But also, if they can't come tonight, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah. Well, anyway, the thing you can do is you can go to my website. The website is www.themoneymultiplier.com. Themoneymultiplier.com. And so the thing you can do is you can go to my website, and also if you want to, when you're on the website, if you scroll to the bottom of the homepage where it says Members Area, just click on Members Area. And if you enter the password Bank with Brent, BANKWITH, Brent, BRENT, the thing you can do is view my presentation on the website. It's about an hour and 40 minutes long. It's also broken up into 10 individual segments. But the website is themoneymultiplier.com. And so my email is Brent@themoneymultiplier.com.
Great.
And then my phone number. You want me to give that?
Sure,
out
absolutely,
now?
sure.
And then my phone number you can call or text is it's area code 785-248-9637.
Very cool. All right. Wave goodbye to everybody.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Thanks.